What's cracking, guys? Omar Esoff here. In this video today, I want to talk about the overhead press and how to become stronger, the lessons I've learned. As you guys know, recently I've set it upon myself the goal of overhead pressing at least 100 kilos this year. That's 220 pounds at a body weight of around 80 to 82 kilos, so about 176 to maybe 182, 185. And I can say that during this cut, the one movement I've been able to really maintain or perhaps get a little bit stronger has been the overhead press. And that's because I've been studying the shit out of this movement, and I've come away with a lot of conclusions I think that can help everyone. So let's talk about the overhead press and how to become stronger. First, before I go on, I should say that I do personally believe if you can do the overhead press safely, it's one of my favorite shoulder builders for the delts and for the traps. But you have to do it correctly. And what I notice is that most people lack the mobility in two key areas to get in the proper position, so they're bleeding power. So they're not able to lift as much weight as they can. And so even if your goal is not strength, if you just want to build more muscle, think about it. If you could overhead press 185 for like 10 reps, that's going to build more muscle than 160 for 10 reps. So we got to get in the proper positions. But I'm going to talk about two things today in particular. The first one is that the overhead press, when you press, it's not in a straight line. Think about it. This is very intuitive, but most people don't realize this. You got the chin in the way. If you're me, you got that big ass fucking jaw always in the way, and when you press, unless you move it out of the way, you're going to clock yourself, right? So what most people will do is that they don't focus on external rotation, which basically means getting their elbows underneath the bar in that straight line. And so what they'll do instead, they'll press forward and then kind of back and through. What you really want to do is focus on getting that external rotation to get the elbows forward, tuck the chin, and get a little bit of thoracic extension of the upper back to basically puff the chest up, tuck the chin, which will automatically happen. And so when you press, it's already pretty much in a straightish or more straight line. Because if you got to do this awkward zigzag where it goes forward, you're basically doing almost like a front raise and then you're pushing it back. You're bleeding a lot of power from the bottom, and that's where most people struggle, kind of from right around here. So you need the mobility in two key areas. You need the mobility first to have the external rotation right here at the shoulder, so you get the elbow packed underneath the bar itself so you can push in that pretty much straight line. And then you also need some thoracic extension so you can keep that chest up, chin tucked to push forward. So from here at the bar, what you're going to do after you externally rotate a little bit, you're going to press pretty much straight. It's going to go a little forward, your chin's going to be tucked, and as soon as it passes your head, you're going to punch kind of the head forward and move it back. The ending barbell position will be the bar over the midline of your body. But by doing this, it eliminates some of the extra travel distance that'll have to happen if you don't have that mobility or proper patterning. But also, when you get a little bit of that external rotation, when you get your elbows underneath the bar, what will happen, it'll also help fire your lower traps as a stabilizer. So it does a lot of different things. It gets you just in a stronger position. Having the elbows underneath the bar, having that requisite external rotation can be very good for a powerful setup at the bottom position. But this is where most people will get it a little bit twisted once again. And that is when you lock out, what you'll notice in most people, you look at, I've been studying like the Rio Olympics, you look at all the weightlifters, there's a great post by Brett Contreras going over this, how at the top, you start in external rotation, but at the top you finish with a little bit of internal rotation. So external rotations like this, moving back, internal is forward. You start with the elbows forward. At lockout, you'll notice the elbows will drift a little bit on the outside. You look at the Chinese weightlifters, you look at Lockout, you look at anyone, well, you'll notice when they lock out at the top, and that's just because there's a little bit more room inside the shoulder capsule when you do that. It feels a little bit more stable. You have a stronger lockout. You'll go from that starting in an external rotation. You'll go from starting in that strong elbows underneath position to a lockout where the elbows drift a little bit further away. And so what I like to think of to have a strong overhead press, a fluid motion from start to lockout, would be start and external rotation, thoracic extension, tight, last tight, everything good, right? Core brace, ass of course squeezed, and then from there you press, and as you continue to press past your head, you slightly allow the elbows, as you'll notice in some of my sets, you'll allow the elbows to then slightly internally rotate, so they rotate out as you press up. And what you should notice is that lockout will become immediately easier for you when you do that. It won't compromise your shoulders at all. You shouldn't feel really any pain. It is a natural flow of what your body does, and you'll notice that your overhead press will slowly increase over time. So the big mistake I see when I talk about pressing in pretty much a straight line, you can't, is that people will extend with their lower back, they'll arch, they'll get that anterior pelvic tilt instead of getting that thoracic mobility. They won't have that chest tall, and they won't get their elbows underneath the bar. So they push forward rather than pretty much straight and then back. And then the second point is their lockout kind of struggles because they're trying to hold maybe some of that external rotation that's just not natural for their body. And then what will happen, the lockout, they'll kind of press it in front of them rather than that pushing it back with a little bit of internal rotation. So I want you guys to try this out. There are 2 mobility tips I can give you guys if you have problems with external rotation, and then also if you have problems with thoracic extension. Try those 2 movements out. Really, I can say this is the movement that I've been studying maybe the most because I have the most interest in it in 2016 in improving it, getting towards that goal. And so these are things that I've learned. This is what has worked for me. I don't have a super impressive overhead press. As I said before, my best at about 180 pounds is 210. I recently did 170 for 8, 155 for like 10 pause reps, and then 183 for like 5 or something like that. So nothing crazy, but something I'm definitely improving upon, a movement I really like to do because I think it has huge benefits. You want to press strong, you want to press safely. That's why if you guys are experiencing a little bit of that lower back pain, that's probably because you're extending with your lower lumbar instead of extending with that thoracic area up here, which is normal and natural, like chest up, big chest, big breath, chin tuck that chin, right? Unless you want to clock yourself, and then try this pattern out. So try this out, let me know what you think. Made it to the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked the video, you made it to the end of the video. This is gonna help you overhead press. What you're waiting for, like the damn video, and I'll be seeing all you guys, my rascals, in that next video. Peace.